What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Sports Muse podcast. We are on day 15 of 32 teams in 32 days, and we are talking about the Las Vegas Raiders. Big question is, how many times do I call them the Oakland Raiders? Who knows? I just said that about the San Diego Chargers and the LA Chargers, and I actually didn't call them San Diego Chargers a single time. So good for me. If you are not familiar with my previews, is what we do is we talk about additions and re-signings. We talk about departures, draft picks, strengths, weaknesses. I make a prediction, and we kind of just talk about, what we see from this team. And of course, I always appreciate you guys dropping comments because I'm always, curious to talk to fan bases and see what you guys think. Do you think I'm seeing it through the right lens? Do you think I'm offbeat? I'm always curious and like to have those kind of interactions because that's why I do this, right? To talk some football. So last year on this very podcast, I predicted the Las Vegas Raiders to go 6-10. I expected some issues on that defense, and yes, they did have some issues, but I think Carr came out and played a lot better than I expected, and I think this is the best we've seen Derek Carr since breaking his leg, and I think that is a positive thing if you're a Raiders fan. So they end up going 8-8. Pretty good year in some things. The arrow's pointing up, which was nice to see. But we'll kind of talk about some of their departures and why I'm a little bit worried about this team coming into this year. When we talk about additions and re-signings, they get Kenyon Drake, John Brown, Zay Jones, Richie Incognito, Denzel Good, Ngakwe, Quentin Jefferson, Solomon Thomas, Nicholas Morrow, Casey Hayward, and Rasul Douglas. I like some of those guys, man. The Kenyon Drake thing kind of caught me off guard because, he's kind of a low-end RB1, right? He's a guy who is probably really good in like a situation kind of like what the Browns have, where they have two kind of bell cow backs. I thought he would do well in that kind of situation, and maybe that's what they plan on doing with Jacobs. But I thought they liked Jacobs enough where they were just going to give him the ball 20, 25 times a game and kind of run him into the ground. But maybe this is good, man. Maybe this helps both of their careers. So this is going to be an interesting one. Love John Brown, man. I think he's been a guy who, what he does well, he's not a perfect receiver, but what he does well, he does it at a very high level. Zay Jones is a guy who I had a lot of high hopes for when he was in Buffalo. Kind of, things didn't work out, but I think he's been solid when he's been in with the Raiders. Richie Incognito, very solid guard. Ngakwe fell off track a little bit last year, but we talked about 2 years ago, he was an elite pass rusher. Solomon Thomas, I thought they stole him, man. He's been a guy who clearly hasn't lived up to his top 10 pick, but he's been a guy who's very, very solid, and is kind of has flashes of greatness. Casey Hayward, they stole him from the division rival, the Chargers. So I like the guys that they got, to be completely honest with you. When we talk about departures for the Raiders, we look at Devontae Booker, Nelson Aguilar, Terrell Williams, Jason Witten, Gabe Jackson, Rodney Hudson, Arden Key, Malik Collins, Marcy Hurst, Raekwon McMillan, and Lamarcus Joyner. Joyner's a guy who probably didn't do as well with the Raiders as you kind of hoped. Arden Key stepped up and became a pretty productive pass rusher and flashes. The biggest thing that jumps off the page to me is, losing Hudson and Jackson and Brown. At one point, the Raiders had the best offensive line in the league, the highest paid offensive line in the league. It seemed like a priority. They're going in a different direction. And you know what? Listen, there's guys that make a lot of money and swing and miss, and there's guys that make a lot of money being GMs, and they know their team. They know it better than you and I. So maybe they have guys that they feel are going to be the answer. On the outside looking in, it doesn't look good as far as that front five. And, as a coach, as a guy who's followed this game for a long time, that's where it all starts. You can have the best receivers in the world, the best quarterback in the world, the best running backs in the world. If you don't have a line, it doesn't matter. It's all irrelevant. Look at what happened to, the division rival, the Chiefs, in the Super Bowl. They have all the talent in the world on offense, didn't have an offensive line due to injuries, and they just got annihilated up front. So I'm worried from that aspect for the Raiders. As far as draft picks, in the first round, they get Alex Leatherwood. So when I did my draft breakdown, I don't love the pick. And it's not that I don't like Alex Leatherwood. I felt like it was a reach. I got some static coming back from Raiders fans that are like, oh, no, he was going to go then. I have not heard that from anybody who's a quote unquote expert. Hey, people get it wrong all the time. Maybe it's an absolute, dream pick. When they got Colton Miller, it was a reach again. It ended up working out, but it was still a little bit of a reach. If you could get him back or trade back and get more assets, then I'm not saying the person is not a good fit or the person is a bad player. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying they probably reached a little bit in this position they got him. They go in the second round. They get Trayvon Morrig, a guy I really like, man. He's a gamer safety. I think he's going to go along with JJ really well on that back end. They get Malcolm Kuntz and Tyree Gillespie. So their draft, I don't mind it at all. Like I said, that first round pick. If they could have traded back to, they definitely wanted that guy. They could have traded back probably to the late first and still got him. But again, that's speculation. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they heard something else. Who knows? As far as team strengths, there's nothing on this team that screams strength. There's nothing that's like a clear like eliteness of this team. I do like their back end of their defense as far as covering up mismatches, as far as developing into something special. And when I talked about elite, is I think they do have an elite tight end, and that's Darren Waller. Darren Waller has really just come on the scene, man. He looked good over the past few years. Last year was just, the guy looked almost unstoppable. And, at this point, I think you have to mention him in the same conversation with a Kelsey and a Kittle, because, he is putting up those kinds of numbers. So, that is an elite, aspect that the Raiders have. And I do think that's part of their team strength along with that back end of the defense. Team weakness, I've already kind of touched on it, is they really changed up the offensive line. I get they were in a tough spot with the salary cap, but that's a tough spot to put everybody else in. You worry about it taking everybody else back a step. Carr, like I said, took a step forward last year. I'm worried about him taking a step back because he's constantly having pressure in his face and off the corners. You have two very talented backs that could easily be Pro Bowlers. You worry about them not being productive enough. Maybe, they can't be Kenny Andre can't be utilized in the pass game because they can't drop back and pass the ball because they don't have the extra protection. There's going to be some times where maybe you have to keep Waller in to help protect the quarterback, and that sucks because he's an elite pass catching tight end. So it is going to be interesting, but that is a tough weakness to have. As far as biggest question marks is, can John Gruden right the ship? When we looked at Gruden and we saw him sign that huge 10-year contract for tons of money, it didn't look great. You're kind of worried about it. And now it's starting to look a little bit worse to him and kind of Mike Mayock tenure, if you will. I'm worried about it. I like Gruden. I like Gruden as a person. I like him as a coach. I think he's smart enough to right the ship. Just right now, it's not looking great. And I'm really curious if he can figure it out along with Mike Mayock. And they're kind of done with the growing pains. And last year was kind of a symbol that they're going in the right direction. As far as record predictions, this is a tough one. And honestly, and I could be completely wrong about this. I underplayed them last year. I could have underplayed them again this year. I said they go 6-11. Pretty similar to what I said last year. I'm really worried about that offensive line. I don't know. I don't know really what they're going to be able to do as far as an offense without great blocking up front. For my bold prediction, I'm looking at the team. I'm thinking about it. What's really going to jump off the page? I don't want to undersell Waller. I don't want to oversell Waller. The rest of the guys are kind of, I don't think that, Jacob's going to have a huge year. So I kind of went with this direction because we know that the Raiders don't love Derek Carr. They don't think he's bad, but they don't love Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr won't start more than 8 games this year. Now, whether that's due to injury, whether that's playing, Mariota, whether that's trading for like an Aaron Rodgers or something like that, I'm not sure. But, I don't think he plays more than 8 games this year, and that could be the end of his tenure with the Las Vegas Raiders. Raiders fans, let me know what you guys think, man. Am I off beat? Am I off basis? Am I missing something? Let me guys know. Drop it in the comments. Let's have a dialogue, instead of like, you're an idiot, you suck. All right. Let me know what you guys think. Let's figure this out. And if you guys think I'm on point, let me know, man. If you guys want to support the show, I always welcome it. It's the only way I can grow. Please click like, please click subscribe, show support for the show. And guys, I'll see you next time. Hey guys, thank you so much for sticking around for the entire video. Thank you for supporting the show, clicking that like button, subscribing, comments, all that fun stuff. If you could just take one more second and check out Rep Sports, check out Raise Energy. They are partnered with this podcast. They are help supporting me. So if you go and check them out, it's the best tasting energy drink on the market. 100% guaranteed. They have supplements, protein, pre-workouts, recovery, all that stuff. If you guys check them out and you use promo code SportsMuse when checking out, you get 15% off of your order. And who doesn't like, some money off of their purchase? That's awesome. So definitely check them out. And like I said, it helps support me. It helps support them. So please check them out, guys. And thank you again so much for sticking around.